guys, what is going on? Welcome back to my Robinhood portfolio. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about the accounting method that is used on Robinhood. I've talked a little bit about this in prior videos, but definitely want to talk about this with regards to day and swing trading any stock that you hold for the longer term. If you've seen my prior videos, you probably understand the concept of preferred capital gains rates. That is, if you hold a stock for greater than 1 year before selling off, you have tremendous tax savings at tax time. Essentially, if you buy a stock, you hold it for 1 year, then you sell off. The difference in buying low and selling high, that capital gains is essentially taxed at the end of the year. If you hold the stock less than 1 year, it's taxed at your ordinary income level. But if you hold it for greater than 1 year, even if it's 1 year or just 1 day over 1 year, it's taxed at a much lower rate. If you fall into the lower tax brackets, you fall from 10 or 15% with ordinary income tax rates to 0% with preferred capital gains rates. And if you're in the upper income brackets, you can save up to 20 or 25% just for holding that stock greater than 1 year before selling off. Now, the difficulty comes in is when you have a stock that you hold for the longer term, but you also do some day and swing trading with. Depending on the accounting method Robinhood uses or any brokerage account uses, you may never be able to accumulate a stock and hold it for greater than 1 year if you're buying and selling it off on a weekly basis. So as an example here, I have Ford. And as you guys probably know, I love doing day and swing trading with Ford, but I also have quite a few shares that I'm holding for the longer term. And the problem here is that if I'm day and swing trading this on a weekly or monthly basis, I'll never be able to hold this stock longer term if Robinhood is selling off the stocks that I initially bought first. So for a very, very simple example, let's say I buy 10 shares of the stock this week, I bought 10 shares of the stock last week, and I bought 10 shares of the stock 6 months ago. If I go ahead and sell off 10 shares tomorrow or the next trading day, Robinhood will be selling off the shares that I had bought 6 months ago. That's basically called a first in, first out tax accounting method. And there's a number of different ways in which Robinhood or other brokerage accounts can do this. You can do an average cost method, a specific lot or specific lot, tax lot, for example. Every time you buy a stock, the date is recorded when you buy that stock. And on other brokerage accounts, for example, my E-Trade account, I can select the exact tax lot that I want to sell off. So I can sell off the 10 shares that I bought this week, the 10 shares I bought the week prior, or the 10 shares I bought 6 months ago. And Robinhood, unfortunately, they defer to the first in, first out method, and I have inquired if I can change that, if I can do specific tax lots, or I can do last in, last out, which would be perfect for day trading on any stock that you hold longer term. That is, the last stock that you bought will be the first stock that is sold off. Unfortunately, Robinhood will only do the first in, first out method. I've talked to them on a number of different occasions, and they will not be able to do any other accounting method than the first in, first out. So as you can imagine, if I'm doing day and swing trades on a regular basis, I'll never be able to hold a stock for greater than 1 year because the first in, first out method, the first stock I buy is the first stock out. So even though I might have bought stock 6 months ago in the example, it's going to be the first stock that is sold off, no matter if I specify to Robinhood I want to sell that stock off or not. They only will honor the first in, first out method. So I really didn't think there's a way around that. However, one of the viewers on the channel, Vivudi, just mentioned today in a comment thread, what if you were to put a limit sell in for a number of shares? For example, that example I gave earlier, I bought 10 shares this week, 10 shares last week, 10 shares last month. Let's say, for example, I put in a limit sell of 20 shares of Ford, for example, here, but I put a ridiculously high sell order. So I put in $300 per share. That is the limit order, with the idea that I'm going to be locking up 20 shares at that $300 price. So if I continue doing some day and swing trading, those shares are locked in to the application, and then any shares that are going to be sold off will be shares that I buy more recently, if that makes sense. Now let's make the example even easier. Let's say I buy 10 shares this week, and then I bought 10 shares 6 months ago. So I have 20 shares in total. What Vivudi is essentially saying is I put a limit sell in for 20 shares at $300. So theoretically, those shares should now be locked up. They cannot be sold because I have a limit sell order in for those shares already. You can't sell the shares twice. And then if I go ahead and buy an additional 10 shares next week, for example, those will be free to sell again. If I do my day and swing trading, I'll be essentially selling off the shares that I just had most recently bought, because the other shares are locked up in a limit order that has already been specified. So I'm not sure if this is going to work or not, and it gets a little bit technical here. I'm sorry if you guys weren't able to follow all of that, but essentially you're locking up some of your prior shares in a ridiculously high sell order, so those aren't available for trading. And then if you do some day or swing trades, you're essentially selling off the stocks that you bought more recently. And then at any time you can cancel that prior order, and essentially you've been able to hold your stock for the longer term. So for example, in my Ford stock here, I have 2996 shares. About 2,500 of those are for longer term. So I can put in a limit sell order, 2,500 shares at $300 a share, which will never be fulfilled. The stock is trading at $11.25. So essentially, I lock up those 2,500 shares in that limit sell order. And then if I did any day or swing trading moving forward, it's essentially going to be selling off the shares that I had most recently purchased, or that's the idea anyway. Not sure if this would work, but this is a very, very good way of potentially getting around the first in, first out method. I'm going to send Robinhood a message, see if this would work. Again, not quite sure how they do their tax accounting. On my E-Trade, for example, every share has its own individual tax lot. I can see exactly how many shares I had bought on which date, and I can individually select which dates to sell off. In Robinhood, however, you can see here it's just showing I have 2996. I did not buy all those shares on the same date, but I can't really divide up exactly what dates I bought what stock for. I have a spreadsheet that I do this with, but if I were to go ahead and sell off these shares, I have no idea what different tax lots are going to be sold off, and I can't specify which tax lots to sell off. So again, a way around that is simply putting in a limit sell order, a very, very high limit sell order that you know will never be fulfilled, to lock up those shares. They're essentially unavailable for trading, and then any new trades you make will be the buy and sells that you do more recently. So the idea is to hold those shares in that limit sell order, tie those shares up so they can't be sold off. Then over time, you can see that you would essentially save those up and sell those at a later date for greater than 1 year of the preferred capital gains rates. Or that's the idea anyway. I'm not sure if that's going to work. If any viewers on the channel have any ideas if this will work, please let me know. I have no idea if this would work or not. I think it's a very cool method of potentially getting around that first in, first out method. Like I said, Robinhood will only do the first in, first out method. Other brokerage accounts, you can really specify if you want to do the last in, last out, highest cost. There are a number of different accounting methods that can be utilized. On Vanguard, I think there's 8 different tax accounting methods. On E-Trade, I think there's maybe 8 or 9 different methods. But on Robinhood, unfortunately, there's the first in, first out method. So if any of the viewers have had similar ideas, please let me know. If anybody's tried doing this, please let me know. I don't know if this would work or not. Again, Robinhood doesn't have accounting of exactly what shares you bought at what date, at least in the application here. So I have no idea if this is going to work or not. Maybe on the monthly statements they'll break it up, and you can maybe see if there's going to be a tax savings here. But again, let me know. I want to solicit you guys. I want to ask you guys if you've tried this method before, if this method would work. It'd be a great way of getting around the first in, first out accounting method when doing day and swing trades on a stock that you hold for the longer term. So yeah, just wanted to quickly talk about that again. This was from a viewer, Vivudi. Thank you very much for suggesting this. I never even thought about that. It's a very cool method potentially of getting around that first in, first out method for holding shares longer term on a stock that you do a lot of day and swing trading with. So if anybody has any insight into that, please let me know. If anybody has any questions about exactly what we're talking about, please let me know in the comment threads as well. I'll try to do a little bit more detailed explanation in the comment threads. But it's just a way of trying to get around that first in, first out method, holding stocks a little bit longer term on a stock that you do day and swing trades with on a very regular basis. So yeah, I don't want to make the video too long. I'll kind of end it there. Again, if you guys have any good insights on that, please let me know. Or any other methods to get around that first in, first out accounting method when trying to do some day and swing trading on a stock that you want to hold for the longer term as well and get those good capital gains rates, those preferred capital gains rates for holding a stock greater than 1 year. So yeah, let me know. And kind of with that, I'll end the video. As always, if you guys enjoy my videos, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And until next video, I'll see you then.